Audio check, audio check. Hey, how's it going, DOCE Family? I hope you guys have been doing good. I know it's been a while since we've done an episode in English, but today we're switching it up. We're doing an episode on English, and it's going to be a great episode that you get to know a little bit about us, a little bit about specifically my brother. That's going to be the topic for today. But I hope you guys have been having a good week and a good start of the year. I know, like I mentioned before, it's been a while. How are you doing today, bro?
Hey, how you doing? I'm doing good. Are you gonna introduce me?
So that, as you guys might not know, or you guys might know, that is Daniel Pentecost. He is my brother. Fortunately for myself, I have a blessing to have a brother like that. And we were talking about what kind of episode we could do. Sorry, I'm trying to get my headset set. What episode we could do to start off, not only this year in English, but in general, just so you guys have an idea of who we are. We've already talked about our fundamentals in foundation, in our beliefs, but there's a difference between knowing the person that you're interacting with, and especially because we are doing podcasts. I think it's very important to understand not only the train of thought, but the experiences that individual, in this case, is going to be Daniel Pentecost, has gone through. So I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited to do this interview with him. I got my notes right here, the questions, just in case I forget asking him specific questions, but I am very excited. How are you feeling, bro?
I feel a little nervous because I know you very well, and I know you're going to challenge me somewhat. I guess the whole point of this is to do a little testimonial, right, about myself.
Right. So, one of the things that I find very important, and it is important, and I think we both can agree on this, is that the Bible does talk about, in Galatians, it talks about sharing burdens with one another, because it helps us. It helps us it helps each other when either that person is going through a difficult time, or maybe the other individual that's listening to that, in this case, testimony or that challenge, it helps them when they're going through a difficult time. And then in First Peter, it also talks about, sharing our story to one another. It's very important. Storytelling is the most important thing in the history of humankind, because that's how we can track back of where the origins of our stories, or the story of whatever it is that we're looking at, comes from.
Come on, I'm excited. So I hope the questions are not too challenging, but I'll do my best to answer them the best as possible.
That's what I'm talking about. So it is going to be, like I said, a little bit simple in the sense of like the conversation type that we're going to be having. I'm going to talk to you. Obviously, like I don't really truly know you. That's for specifically for the audience. That's for the audience to get to know you, right? Because I know somewhat of what you've gone through, and even that I feel like I'm missing out in a lot of the stuff that you've been through, and it's such a blessing just hearing. Because I don't want to ruin it. I want to ruin it for the viewers because it's such a blessing just because I know the things that you've gone through and where you're at today in life. And it's like, man, what a great story. And I just want you to be able to share that with other people. How do you feel about that? You feel comfortable about sharing?
Sure. I mean, sharing is caring, they say.
Sure,
but
sure.
No, for sure. I'm excited. I think I remember when I was younger, I used to tell my dad, like, I don't even have a testimony to share. Like, what can I really share to testify, right? Now that I'm close to my 40s, I'm like, I think I have plenty of things to testify, I want to say.
Yeah, isn't it crazy that when you're young, you're like, man, I don't really have a testimony, or I don't have things that I've gone through. And I've spoken with younger individuals, and they're like, yeah, man, I feel like this new generation, this wave that's risen up of Christian men and women, or in this case, youth, they're very excited and they feel like man, I have something to say, you know. But then when they hear testimony from people that have been through so much, in this case, like you, say it's food for them. It's food for their soul. And it's food for their life. And I'm just excited. But yeah, you're right. I mean, when I look back when I was young, I was like, man, I don't got anything cool to say or any cool story. And now that we've been through it, we're like, man, I wish I wouldn't have gone through some of those stories, or at least in my case, you know. But it is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing.
It's funny. It's like, hey, Lord, give me a testimony, and you go through hell, and then you're like, okay, I have a testimony now.
No more.
No. I don't think I've gone through like crazy stuff, but it might be for some viewers, it might be like pretty intense, I think.
Yeah, or relatable. Okay, so let's talk about your life. If you can give me like a short, like little synopsis. Arc is like your story, you know, like, oh, this is where I came from. This is my origin. You know, from where you come from, and a little bit of your history. Like, who are you? Who is Daniel Pentecost?
All right, so my name is Daniel Pentecost. I was born in Arizona, and I was raised part of my childhood in Mexico. My parents, they were missionaries. They decided to take us, me and my brother, down in a place called Tepic, Nayarit, which is kind of like central of Mexico in the Pacific side, if I could say it that way. That particular area, it was full of witchcraft. There was a lot of natives, and they practiced a lot of this like witchcraft stuff. You know, there was a lot of like witchcraft healing stuff. I don't want to talk too much of that terminology. I'm trying to keep it simple.
You know, that's good. That's good.
And so, not that I grew up in that stuff, but I witnessed a lot of that stuff back there in Mexico, and my parents being people that love Christ as missionaries. I got to see a lot of things. I got to see how the Lord did a lot of miracles, a lot of manifestations, a lot of spiritual activities, and then in such a young age, it became very natural, very so real to me, so naturally real. It wouldn't surprise me, I guess, at such a young age, and I grew up as a pastor's kid, the famous PK, right? Pastor's kid. I'm not sure if that's a good thing for some of the viewers, but yeah, I'm a PK. Yeah, you wanted to say something?
No, like, so I guess growing up in a place where, you know, you mentioned there's a lot of witchcraft, and, you know, it's just a different culture as well in general, especially for individuals that live here in the United States, because we're from the United States. Like, And then referencing that with the Christian walk, like, do you see that as a challenge, or how did that help, I guess, in that aspect? Like, cause you're bringing up like witchcraft, and then you're bringing up Christianity. Like, how do you feel that clicks, or that merges, or that maybe it doesn't, or like, how does that like relate to your story of how you grew up to be?
Well, let me give a little bit of background. For those who are pastors' kids, we're going to totally connect with this right away. But, I mean, the whole point of us being missionaries is to share the gospel, right? Share the gospel to the lost, to the ones that never heard of Jesus. And because of that, the enemy is not happy about that. So there's going to be a lot of manifestations, whether it could be spiritually or it could be character, physical. I mean, a lot of weird stuff. But because of that, it became part of my norm. It became very natural, very normal. And so because being exposed in that environment, it kind of helped me see things a little bit different in life. Like something is different about that person. Something is different about that person because I was exposed so much into that. So everyday life till now, I mean, I get a little bit an advantage to see that, detect that, you know, they call it discern, you know, that spiritual side of people.
So do you think, like, I guess seeing the spiritual realm in those two aspects, like, it kind of helped you verify, like, because, you know, there's a lot of people that are, they don't believe in that. They don't believe in the spiritual world, or they don't believe in God or anything like that. But having been in an environment where you saw people doing witchcraft, and maybe you saw weird stuff that might have happened, and then you see the other aspect of, you know, Christianity, the spiritual aspect of that, you know, did that build, in a sense, I guess, a better belief or understanding, like you mentioned, discernment in that aspect?
Oh, for sure. Discernment. I mean, I get to see, it's a combination of a lot of things. It's not like I'm looking at a spiritual world, you know, it's more like character defects. It's more like character manifestations where it kind of gives me hints of something is not right.
Okay.
And it could be a stronghold from hurt, you know, inner valves or something, you know, that they're carrying. And that opens a portal for, you know, the spiritual realm of the enemy, if we want to call it like that, to come in and just, you know, dwell in that person. And it just is there. We see it.
Right. Kind of like it helped to create an insight, I guess, in that aspect, or in the spiritual aspect, or like you mentioned. Now, going back into your childhood, what is like a memory of yours that you can connect from back then to the you that you are now? Like, you're like, oh man, okay, I get it.
Well, let me start out with this. So because my parents, they were missionaries, they were in need of musicians. So the only musician that was there was literally just my dad. And I remember my dad playing a little Yamaha.
I remember.
And, you know, it had like little, I guess, music coming out of it at the same time. And he would play like two notes. And, yeah, I mean, I remember seeing that and being exposed in that. And there was nobody available. So it was just him. He was doing everything. I mean, he's a missionary. Mm-hmm. And well, now I'm a musician. I play 4 instruments: piano, drums, guitar, bass.
Wow.
And I get the opportunity, you know, to serve in not just in one church, but in multiple ministries, you know, to help out and just be there and use the gifts and the talents that God gave me.
Yeah, I remember growing up and like my brother, like, he would touch an instrument, or at least this is my perspective, right? He'll touch an instrument, and then like 1 month later, he's playing. I'm like, what? Like, it's so cool seeing how God individually makes us in some areas like gifted, you know, and it's awesome, especially that you got to see that at such a young age. And then fast forward to now you're like, I see you going to churches and playing and everything like that.
Do you remember cassettes?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
We're from that age, bro.
yeah, so the way I learned how to play, the first instrument that I learned how to play was actually drums. I started out playing when I was 4. And the way I started playing drums is something that we call back in the days a boombox. And basically you put a cassette on it, and I was just following, the sound of the drums coming out of that boombox of that cassette. And I would just follow it and be like, okay, I think they're doing it like this. I think they're doing it like this. Basically emulate what they were playing. So it started at 4. And then soon when I was 9, I started picking up the bass and the guitar at the same time. And then finally at the age of 13, I picked up the piano and I totally fell in love with it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely remember being with my dad or my mom and then just hearing, because we lived in the same building as where the church was.
Yeah,
and I just hear,
it's like pastoral home.
Yeah, and then just hear like you playing the drums, and my dad's like, "Who's playing the drums?" I still remember, it's vivid. Who's playing the drums? Like the church is closed. So my dad went over there, and there you were playing the drums. I was like, "Yo, that's so awesome."
Yeah, it's very interesting. I try to remember a lot, as much as I can, details about that time, but it was like a drive. It was just like I want to get this done. I think that might be a character defect. Is literally I want to get things done now. That's me.
No, I feel that. The other question I had for you, going back to like, your early childhood memories and, back in the day, like who was somebody that was important to you in your life that helped you shape it? Or maybe if you want to specify it, to shape it in your talent aspect that you're talking about in music. You could do either or, music or life.
All right. So hold on. Let me start with my dad and my mom. Starting out with my dad. My dad, till now, I still see him as a hero. I still see him as, wow, that is a man of God. Learning a little bit of his background, where he came from, to the legacy that he left behind with us, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
And to me, that's something to admire, because it took so much out of him. It took so much out of him to give us to what we have right now. And I'm talking about the spiritual, I'm talking about the emotional, the advices, the way he carried himself, the way he feared the Lord. That is the first person that I could say that I take with me. And obviously my mom was the detail. She was a very detailed woman.
Oh yeah.
She would tell us like the smallest detail, like, hey, sit up straight, wipe your mouth, don't speak, don't interrupt, don't, little practical manners, things that really started shaping me, that now I'm like, wow, what a privilege, what an honor, having such great parents.
Yeah, no, they definitely did lay down those foundations. And then just like you mentioned, knowing the background from my dad, from being an atheist, right?
Yes.
So like having men of God, which, you, myself, and himself, serving the Lord, it's just, for me, it's crazy, because it's like, how does an atheist go to that, right? Which is another testimony in itself.
Yeah, it's not normal.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. It's not normal for an atheist to become Christian. I don't want to say that it's impossible, but it's very hard.
Yeah, because it's a, you build those beliefs, you grow up on them, and you become stubborn to them,
But you should ask my dad how he became from atheist to Christian.
Yeah, that's a whole interview. Hey, maybe one day we'll get him in here. I did have a question in like, how do you see yourself? I guess when you were growing up, which you kind of mentioned it, like, how do you see your family like? Like, if you could define our family, but from your perspective, right? How would you define it? Like, how would you define growing up as a kid with my mom, dad, church, and in Tepic Nayarit? Like,
yeah, the way I see, still I see it like that right now. It's a very ministry family, very ministry. We're always looking how we can serve God, in what way.
yeah,
I mean, you could totally strip us and we'll still find a way to serve God. And so that's the way I see my family. It's a serving family. That's all I know. That's all I remember. And still, when I see my mom, my dad, it's all about serving. How we can serve. I mean, Jesus came to serve us, right? So
yeah.
I guess my parents impart that to us, or in particular to me.
Yeah, which is, that's one of the biggest teachings in the Bible. And it's crazy because, I think about it now and I look back on my life when I was a kid. And now that you're mentioning it, yeah, my parents were all about, hey, go help, go serve, go do this without asking, do it out of love. Just do it because you care. Just do it because, it's the right thing to do. And fast forward to now, it's like, whoa, that's not how it is. It's a little bit more rare unless you see it in the spectrum of somebody that has those foundations and they believe in the word. Outside of individuals that might not be Christian, I think it's kind of something that's rare. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I believe that it's not that it's rare. It's just getting harder now.
Yeah, it's
getting harder for especially the young adults to really have that mindset of serving others. I mean, the benefit that we have is that we grew in that environment, right? So it became a little bit easier for us. But if you think about it, Jesus came to serve. And so it's all about people.
Yeah.
It's all about people. Anything that we're doing, it's how can I influence Jesus to somebody? Like in this particular case, we're doing a podcast to see if we can influence somebody, Jesus.
Yeah, and it's, I was listening to a pastor, and I know you were there too. So, and he was talking about, like, if I put myself, I think he's in his late 50s or 60s. I don't know. You can tell me what was his age. But he says, if I could put myself in the same era that these kids are right now, he would not know how he would handle it because there's so much exposure nowadays as compared to how it used to be. How technology has advanced and it's just so easy to grasp information, which most of it is bad. Not all information is good information. I don't want to say most of it, but a lot of the information that we shouldn't be consuming out there is easily obtainable. Yes. That corrupts our hearts and our minds. And it's just like those challenges. Yeah. Like I can only imagine how it is now or how it's going to be for kids in 10 years from now or 5 years from now, if God delays his coming. Like how are they going to handle with everything?
Yeah, I got something to say about that. It's, I think we get it confused. I guess if I could direct more towards parents, and I'm a parent. That's obviously that's the reason why I'm exposing it this way. But I think a lot of the parents are more concerned about self-esteem instead of self-control. And I believe teaching our kids self-control when naturally self-esteem would just be there for them.
That's good.
So I do believe that. I think our society has gone more into the self-esteem versus, hey, you need to learn how to control your emotions. And because of that lack of self-control, now we're being exposed so much into all these social media platforms that they're looking for the algorithm that builds their self-esteem, what they like, and not have the self-control to abstain themselves.
It's almost like they're seeking an identity of maybe something or someone they want to become, and they're absorbing all this stuff that's not they were meant to be. Look back at like your testimony that you're talking about when you were young, and it's like God already put this gift in you, and you found it because you were presented right there in your home with your father and your mother, with structure and foundations, you were presented this opportunity to learn, oh, this is what I'm meant to be. This is who I'm meant to become. Until this day, you still play instruments.
Yeah. Again, I want to boast a little bit on my parents. They did their job, spending time with us, dedicating times, doing the actual leading to us. My dad was leading us.
Yeah.
My father was leading us. And I believe that is the lack that we're having right now. There's a lot of parents very distracted and not actually taking the responsibility to lead children. And that is the reason why exposure is a lot easier for them. So especially in America, there's a lot of exposure of stuff. And parents rather just give them something quick and not take the responsibility of leading their children.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice and a good point. But speaking of challenges, because we were talking about challenges, and this is more specifically on the parent side, but for you, what has been the most challenging period or experience in your life, and what did you learn from it?
Okay, so being close to 40, I believe there were seasons in my life that were very hard.
Yeah.
Not just one time. I believe it was a few times. They were like breaking points in my life, right? So I think the first one was, I guess, when I left my parents. When I left my parents from their home to move to a different state.
Yeah.
I think that was a very big challenge in my life, to the point where it started breaking me in all different aspects, spiritually, emotionally. Not mentally, but physically too. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of damage physically too, and I think that was one breaking point in my life.
Yeah. Do you think that that being under a home of a parent has some form of coverage or some form of protection? Because the way that you're making it sound is like the moment that you left, you started experiencing things maybe that like you said, for you there were challenges.
I think it depends on the age. I think there is a point where you have to let go of mom and dad.
Yeah. And
I think you really have to be faced on the reality of the things that were taught into you and still into you, and really put it to the test. And that's what happened. I was being put to the test. So I remember, when I left Arizona to move to Houston, by the way, I was born in Arizona. Then I grew up my childhood in Mexico. Then we came back to Arizona. And then when I was, I guess, a young adult, I decided to move to Houston, Texas. Yeah. Now, when I moved to Houston, Texas by myself with no family member or anything, then I was being put to the test to see if I really believe in God, if I really am a prayer warrior, if I really believe and trust in Him that He'll take care of me, And then along with those things, like the physical life things, right? That my parents taught me. Well, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. Now I'm being tested, but at the same time, I left pretty young. I was 18. So I left very young. I still needed to grow up. There was a lot of areas in my brain that still needed maturity. In fact, the brain matures at the age of 25, right? And so yeah. I was 18, so there was a lot of instability in some areas of my life. So I definitely got hit really early at a young age in life.
So give me some examples of those things that you experienced, because I know there's a lot of things that we withhold and we don't necessarily reveal. I know you've revealed them, right. At least to me. I don't know if you revealed it to my dad. I know from my mom you did, but like, what is an experience that you went through that was life changing, and a wake up call?
Oh man, I won't go to too many details. Yeah. No, but I remember when I arrived to Houston, I landed at a home. This guy supposedly had a recording studio and a label company, and I was gonna technically work for him for free, but he was gonna take care of me. But things didn't go well, so then I became a homeless. And I remember being under a bridge for a bit, and I was challenged right there. I remember being in that bridge and just thinking, like, what am I doing in my life right now when I have a mom and a dad?
Yeah.
When they have a roof that they can offer me, right? So I do remember being under that bridge and kind of like walking around and looking for a place to live. And moving forward, I think I had only $300. I remember squeezing those $300, like going to McDonald's and getting the dollar menu as much as possible meal, and that was like one time during the entire day, one meal. Yeah. And because I was thinking, like, how am I gonna pay for my phone, because I need the phone, so I can't spend all my money because I need to make that phone payment. So I'm like, I'm in survival mode now. And man, I remember praying hard for my safety, and Lord protect me. But there was something in me that was very prideful that God was working on me during that season. Mm-hmm. I know there was a lot of pride in me. I'm not sure where that came from, but it's probably my character in general, where the Lord was probably working on me. But I remember that time during that season, I remember knocking on doors, and finally I found a church, a church where they had like this, I guess like an apartment, almost like an apartment complex, like.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever seen like those Methodist churches that they have like this retreat.
Yeah, like a school building or something.
Like a school building. Well, I remember breaking in there. I remember breaking in. Like, that's not in my nature, but I needed to leave somewhere. I needed to rest
breaking somewhere. Into the Lord's house.
So I broke into a church. Man, ironic, right? Anyways, I thought it was an excuse because I was a PK. But anyways, I'm just kidding. It was a joke. And I remember breaking in there, and it was dark. There was a lot of like rooms that were, I remember the details. There was a room full of just chairs. There was another room full of like old computers. Another room full of like printers. And I'm assuming there were things that they were going to throw away, or I'm not sure, donate or whatnot. And then I remember there was a second story in that building, and going in that second story, there was bunk beds. And I was like, man, this is it. So I'm like, well, nobody's here, so I'm just gonna pick one. I remember walking in that hallway. Oh my gosh, clack, clack, clack. Just made it very intense, but I didn't care. I'm like, I mean, what needs to happen, but I need a bed. I need somewhere to just lay down. And yeah, I found a room in the far corner. I'm like, I'm just gonna stay in that corner. There was a small little window in there, and I could see the church, the entrance. So I'm like, as soon as I see people coming in, I'm gonna communicate and let whoever is the pastor or whoever is in charge, let somebody know that I'm in here and that I need help. Mm-hmm. And I remember a couple of days passing, and finally somebody opened the doors for me and say, hey, I spoke with the pastor, and he's going to allow you to stay in that room. And then, I mean, that was like already like a relief, right? But I wasn't eating well. I was still, just getting a meal per day. And I remember a lot of sisters coming in and, hey, I brought food for you. So it was like, wow, the Lord is really taking care of me. Mm-hmm. And then somehow I was getting involved in the church little by little. But there was one day that I got sick, and I forgot the name of that.
Pneumonia?
I think that's what it was, where it's really hard to breathe and it almost feels like trees.
Yeah. Your water your lungs fill up with like liquids. Or?
Yeah, pneumonia or something. I'm not sure what that was, but I remember I was feeling like I was dying.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling like I was dying. I was praying to Jesus. I'm like, all right, Lord, I think this is it. But you know what? It's interesting. My pride would not allow me to call my parents. I didn't want them to find out how I was. I didn't want them to see me, how I was living, how I was walking and what I was doing, because I knew there was better expectations from me, but unfortunately pride didn't allow me to call, my dad and maybe ask for help or something. So I was like, you know what, Lord, as long as I got you, it's all good. That's what I said in my mind. So if I'm going to pass away, then I know I'm in your hands. That's the way I thought. So I remember that time being super sick. But anyways, some of the stories, right? Some of the stories that I was going through.
Why do you think? Because you keep mentioning pride, and it was one of the things that you mentioned that God was working on me on that. So how would, not what do you think, but how would you define pride? Like, what is a definition or a view of pride, so somebody could understand? Maybe you're speaking to somebody that is prideful, and you're trying to explain to them what pride is and how that looks like, aside from what you explained right now, out of experience.
Pride. Pride, it can look in many different ways, but basically pride is like, I don't need help. I can do it. I'm better. I don't think I need a suggestion. I don't think I need help. I think I'm strong enough. I think I can handle myself. And that can look in many different ways. That could be from an addiction. I can handle it. And the thing is, it's very hard to have a relationship with the Lord when you have pride. If you don't know how to submit to a man, it's going to be hard to submit to God. So submit to a man, like a leader, somebody that will speak life into you, right? So in this case, it would be my father. I didn't want to submit to him, I guess, because I didn't need help. I got this, right? So then the Lord is like, no, I'm not going to allow you to pass away, because we still got to deal with pride. So, yeah, I know that's very dramatic, but yeah.
Yeah, it was still, God said, I'm still working on you. Hold on. Come back. What would you say? Aside from all those experiences, or maybe it is one of those experiences, what is the moment that you felt the most hopeless? You had no hope. Like, this is it.
Okay, that's a different season of my life.
Okay.
That was when I was in a divorce process. And I had 3 kids with baby mama. And the way I felt hopeless is I fail as a man, I fail as a father, and I fail as a son.
Oof.
And I felt hopeless. I didn't want to live. I'm like, what's the point if I can't function as a man? So, but I believe that was the breaking point, another breaking point in my life where the Lord was speaking into my life, for sure.
That's good. That's I can only imagine, especially with having kids, right? The difficulty it is to just lose the privilege of being like a father, and then going through all the things that you mentioned with being homeless, almost like dying pretty much, or passing away, and just going through all that and having had all those negative experiences, right? To the point that you said that that was it. That was it for your life. Like this is as far as I want to go, right? My question to you is, then why? Why do you still believe in God, if all that happened to you, and if it was meant to be done, because God is working in your pride, because that's what you stated, because you mentioned that you believed in God, right? And you mentioned that he was working on your pride, then why all those bad things, had to happen, and you still believe that God, ordained it to be that way?
Yeah, I was taught to be a son. And because of that, I remember during that hard moment of my life that I'm still a son. Mm-hmm. A son of a biological father and a son of God, my creator. So, why? That's a really good question. I strongly believe that God is more concerned about our character molding than the things that you could have, or the things that you accomplish, or the things that you think this is it. I think God is more concerned on building your character, because eternity is a long time. So I do believe that there is more than this life that we live. I do believe that he is shaping us for something that we will function for eternity. So we might be seeing our lives like terrible right now, but at the same time, it's actually a test. It's a molding test. You gotta make it through. Once you make it through, then everything starts to make sense. Like, oh, I see. I needed to go through this so I can be this kind of man. Oh, I needed, because I was very stubborn. Oh, I had to go through this so I could. Then everything starts to make sense. Of course, in the beginning of the process, it's super painful. It's not. Nothing is nice. Anytime you're being stretched, anytime you're being tested, it's not nice. I mean, it's gonna hurt. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, that's my answer.
So you believe that God ordained that pain in your life, so that he can mold your character, because character for you is eternal, or it's something you take beyond.
Yeah. No, character is eternal. I believe that we're being shaped into the perfect man, which is Jesus. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're striving. We're walking along with Jesus, or towards Jesus. We are practicing things that Jesus did.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of things that need to be molded in our character.
But have you ever questioned the process? Like why did it have to happen that way? I mean, you can believe, you believe in God, and you believe that those are character molding. But do you question it, like, why couldn't it be another way?
Yeah, I did question the why. Mm-hmm. Then it went like, for what? And then it went like, oh, I got it now. God, be careful. God does answer.
Yeah, right? Like, it's like when you pray, it's like, hey, Lord, make me the man that you intended me to be. Like, Yeah,
but you know what? I know it's not beautiful to say this, but process, the effect of the process, the after effect of the process is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I can strongly say that I'm a better man than what I was. I can say that I take more responsibility than what I was before. I take more responsibility of my actions than when I was younger, obviously. So don't ignore the processes. Don't go around the processes. Let's go through the processes.
So just based on that response, when would you say it was the turning point that your train of mind, or the way that you think, the way that you perceive the situations that happened to you, like, when was it that it changed, that you're like, oh, like...
definitely when I got divorced. Okay. Divorce. That is three major things as a man that hurts a lot. It's failing how to be a man, failing how to be a husband, and failing how to be a son. That is the worst feeling that a man could probably feel.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. I can definitely agree with that. And I think that's why, or I believe that's why, a lot of individuals, a lot of men have to go through a lot of hardship, because it's the only way to get a clarity to them of, character molding of what is actually important in life. Because sometimes we idolize things that we shouldn't.
Right. I do want to add something regarding the process. We only have two options. We either mature and take responsibility, or we become victims. Mm-hmm. A victim mindset, like the why. And let me tell you, when you take responsibilities of your actions, is way better. I believe when you finally take responsibility, you finally mature. You finally become a man.
So taking responsibility, and I guess because I'm looking at the perspective of everything that you're telling me, and when you're going through struggles, when you're going through difficult times, sometimes, going up the current, it's not working, right? Like, it's, insanity is trying the same thing over and over again, and you're getting,
nowhere.
You're getting nowhere in the same result. So, like, how do you go about that? Like, I guess in a spiritual aspect, because a lot of it is emotional, sometimes it's relatable to a spiritual aspect, at least from my perspective. I don't know if you agree with that. But how do you go about those struggles? Like, how do you finally, like, let go and say, okay, some things I can control, some things I can't control?
Right. Well, that's multiple questions. Answers probably right there. But I do want to say that the spiritual side, I could say that what you were exposed to, things that you were exposed to, things that you decided to get exposed in the spiritual, would definitely start shaping your lifestyle. Mm-hmm. For example, pornography. Being exposed in pornography starts shaping the way you view pornography. That's what they're saying. Pornography definitely starts shaping the way you view life, especially when it comes down, like in this case, like me, towards the females, right? You start seeing things differently.
Yeah.
And that passes on to a vicious cycle, like you can't get out to, right? That's the spiritual side.
Right.
There's an emotional side of that. There's a soul side of that. The soul side is, okay, why? Why are you getting into that? That's the why question. And you start digging, and then you start finding wounds. You start finding inner valves. You start finding anger. You start finding things that you were like, oh man, now it starts to make sense why it's a little bit hard to get out of something. Maybe this is the reason why I keep landing into the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's when that is being exposed in your life, first of all, you got to admit that there's something wrong there, right?
Yeah.
But once that's being exposed, you can finally turn it into God. You can finally give it to Him and be like, whoa, Lord, I don't want to continue living this lifestyle. I give you this anger. I give you this rejection, that I feel because of, you have to be very specific, because of this and because of that. You have to bring it to light, the root of the situation. And I believe that that's what started happening to me during that season of my life, is that a lot of that stuff started to get exposed. And still to now, I believe that the Lord is still working in my life and still in some areas. And but I'm getting there.
No, I think a lot of times those situations or those valves, like you were mentioning, they're very hard to close, and they're very hard to get to and to understand. At some points, like, I feel like that's the reason why we go through so much, trials, because it's trying to be exposed and it's trying to be revealed, because it's something that we haven't internally healed, like you mentioned. So those things that sometimes we have no control over, how do you surrender that? How do you surrender that to God? What does that look like? How does that look like?
Yeah, so I learned this with a mentor or somebody that spiritually was mentoring me.
Yeah.
His name is Roger Whitehead. Shout out to him.
Shout out, Roger.
Yeah. You got to be tired of being tired. You got to get to that point. He said that a lot. You got to be tired of being tired. I got tired. I'm like, man, something has to give now. And then when it got to that point, I finally was able to start the first steps of healing this.
Yeah. That's so being tired of being tired it's the essence of learning to surrender, to learn to let go. That's really good, because I think a lot of times we have a difficulty on that, on just understanding that process. I mean, myself, surrendering has been one of the most difficult lessons of my life, because a lot of times we're very stubborn. We wanna get something resolved when I feel that it's God that's saying, hey, let go. Like, there's some things you have control over, some things you don't have control over. Yeah,
I believe when it comes down to God healing you, He's a gentleman. He's not gonna force you to get healed. We're the ones that get into that vicious cycle. We're the ones that we don't want to let go. God is just like waiting for us. So that's something that we have to keep in mind. Like, why doesn't God heal? Well, He's waiting, for you to make the move. He's not gonna force anybody into. That's the reason why we have free will, of course.
So why did God choose you to go through the things that you went through?
That's a very good point. I don't think I understand all the reasons why. But one thing I do know is that I know a little bit of myself. I know that I'm understanding why I had to go through, and it's because of my character.
Yeah,
I believe God allows it to be a certain way because He knew my defects. He knew the areas that I need worked on, and so He allows it. He allows it to go through them, for me to go through them. So. It's all based on character. That's what I believe. I believe God is more concerned about our character than the things that you obtain, or that even the things that you do good. He's more concerned about the weak areas of your life.
That's good. What do you feel that you're most proud of? What is the thing that you went through or that you achieved that you say, hey, I'm very proud? And I know proud is a difficult word to, I guess if you want to define it. But what is it, something that you look back and you're like, wow, what a blessing?
Oh, man, that's a hard one. Proud of. It's hard to say I'm proud of this, but I want to say letting go. I think something that I could say that I'm proud of is finally letting go and finally letting another man speak life over me. Finally allowing myself, to speak life over my life. Iron sharpens iron, right? So that's a biblical scripture. So in order for you to be sharpened, you need to allow somebody else to sharpen you.
That's good.
And because of my pride, I wasn't allowing myself to be sharpened. So that's something that I'm really proud of. And because of that, I can see a transformation in my life. Remarry again, businesses, stuff like that. But not that that's important, but I can see that the Lord can entrust me because He knows that I'm being maturing. I want to say it this way.
And that goes back to that character molding that you were talking about.
Character molding.
That's good.
Yeah, because He knows that the stuff that He gives me is not for me, but it's for me to be a blessing to somebody else.
That's good.
Yes.
So what message, speaking of being a blessing to somebody else, would you give to someone that might relate or might be going through something similar that you went through, or a hardship that they're currently going through? Like, what message would you give that individual based on the experience that you've gone through?
And bro, that's a different podcast, bro. That's long.
This is the conclusion.
What message? If I believe I think the key word is finally taking responsibility of your actions. I think that's the key word for a general keyword, right? Taking responsibility. How does that look like? Stop blaming somebody else. Stop blaming God for your mistakes that you make. Stop blaming life circumstances and situations. Rather, I'm here because I put myself in there.
Right.
I'm here. I'm divorced because I chose wrong. Let's just say, because I didn't know better. Because I needed to mature. That's taking responsibility. Or you know what? I'm finally, I'm gonna put in the work for my healingness. Some people, they dwell in that pain, in that inner valve, in their excuses. Stop getting excuses. Finally, take responsibility. You know what? I'm gonna get up. It is what it is. I'm gonna give it to the Lord, and I'm gonna allow Him to heal me, and I'm gonna do one step at a time until I get there. By the way, in order for you to do that, it is recommended that you do it with another brother or people. You're surrounded with people that can really speak life into you. Because if you try to do it on your own, there's a good chance that you're probably gonna fall again.
Yeah. Because we're imperfect ourselves. Like the only perfect individual that walked this earth was Jesus. So yeah, you're right. Like a lot of times, I think I made the best decision ever, and then it's like, nope, that wasn't the decision you were supposed to make. And it's evident after time. You reap what you sow. You mentioned that you have children, and what is a message that something that you would like them to hear or keep in their hearts, or for the rest of their lives, based on your experiences of what you've gone through. So what is a message for them to keep in their hearts for the rest of their lives?
Oh, bro, I don't want to get emotional. No, I know they said it before. I said it before, and I guess I'll say it again. First of all, that I love them with all my heart. And Dad has made a lot of mistakes, things that I wish I could go back and erase, and unfortunately they have been done. The only thing I can tell you is that God heals everything, and He can restore again. And part of taking responsibility is facing the hard things. And that I miss them a lot, and I really desire to see them the way I wish. They might be confused of certain things, certain questions that they might have, or why this, why not. But I just want to let them know that I love them, and God is in control, and to put the trust in Him, and He's going to carry you all the way to the goal. And I'm trying to lead by example, and at the same time forgiveness. And I hope they can forgive me for the things that I did in the past. Maybe in their eyes it's terrible, and it must be. But healing is so sweet, it's so nice, and it's worth it. So I do want to tell them that I love them.
That's good. Thank you, brother, for sharing. I do want to say, for me personally, my brother and I, since he was around 18, we grew up in different settings after that age, right? And I do want to say, bro, I am like Daniel. I am blessed to have a brother like you. I'm blessed to have walked in this earth and say that you are my brother. It's a blessing from God, and a great reminder, especially because, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of details that don't get mentioned, right? But this is a testimony for individuals that have gone through hardship or are going through hardship, that I know that it's going to uplift them. They're going to hear it, and they're going to probably relate, and there's a lot of things that I see or what I've heard or, I've experienced with you that I'm like, man, this guy truly, truly loves God. He's unwavering in the love towards God, right? And I commend you for that, because a lot of people would have given up. If I would have been living, no offense, but under a bridge, I'd had my doubts. I'd be doubting, like, hey man, like everything that I believe, God, you feed the grass, you feed the birds, you feed the animals. Like, where are you in this moment, right? And in those moments, you were able to buy a hamburger for the rest of the day, and you were like, oh, what a blessing, right? And for many, they don't see that. So, I see a lot of hardships that you went through. I see a lot of things that you've gone through, and I see the men that you have become, and I understand why you had to go through the things that you went. But it's different when you hear it from the source. It's different when you hear it from the individual that actually experienced that, because you see growth in them, especially if you've known them before and after, and you hear the wisdom of what they've gone through. And I want to tell you that I value your opinion, your input. I value your words, and I value, the things that you tell me, because I take it into consideration, because it's not just because it's coming out of somebody random, but it's coming out of somebody that God has molded their character to this point to be the man that you are now. And you've reached so many people, and you have that consistency. And I love to see that. And I hope that one day I have, or I grow to be that man that has that character of, like, no matter what's happening, no matter what wind is blowing, no matter what current is trying to push against me, I'm going to stand firm, and I'm not going to let it waver me. So it was a blessing. It was awesome speaking with my brother and just having this interview with him. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know, brother, I don't know if you have anything that you might want to add or you might want to end with.
We need like 20 parts of this. I only mentioned like little things. But yeah, it can go very long. I guess as we get more intimate in certain conversation, I'll be mentioning things that were very harsh, and that I know my brother actually knows what the certain details that happen in my life. But other than that, God bless you guys. I hope I can be a blessing to you guys. And then definitely let's take responsibility, and let's follow Jesus.
Amen. Hey guys, we'll see you guys on the next DOCE collection. If you like what you saw, hey, give us a follow. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. God bless. Adios.